Hey there, MRA, my real Afrikaners. This is Maria Jew, the real Afrikaners, and I would like to welcome you to my channel. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. And if this is your first time here, I really thank you for watching. I appreciate you both, the returnees and the newbies, right? On this channel, I talk about African history, um, the biases in Western uh, academia as it pertains to African studies, and I talk about current African affairs, right? And I try to combine all three, especially history and current affairs, to show my audience how what happened then still has an important impact on what is happening today. Okay. And most of all, though, I just wanted to say that I talk about Africa, what? For real, for real. Okay. I had to get that in. Anyway, today I just wanted to hop on here and say a few things. I won't be long, but there was something very important that I forgot to do, right? And that was to congratulate and give a big shout out to the motherland of our motherland, right? And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but it's the big E, Ethiopia, okay? I'm just being silly, but on March the 1st, right, Ethiopia celebrated what they call Adwa Victory Day, right? And Adwa Victory Day is a celebration of the victory that Ethiopia had over Italy at the Battle of Adwa. Okay, so I want to say again, big ups, and just give a huge shout out to our Ethiopian family, and I hope they are enjoying their Ottawa Victory Day celebrations, right? I know it started on March the 1st, but I think it's continuing. I don't know if it's for the rest of the week or maybe this was the last day. I remember that, I was watching Mike Shavala over at Swahili Nation, and he was doing an excellent job covering the Ottawa Day celebration, right? So a big ups to Mike Shavala over at Swahili Nation. That's seems like a good brother who's doing a lot of work at changing the narrative of East Africa, right? Specifically Ethiopia and Eritrea. And he's also doing a lot of work to mentor uh, Ethiopian youth, East African youth, right? And uplift them and uplift their belief in themselves, and also bring the African family together as a whole, right? That's his whole platform, African unity and African upliftment. So big shout out to Mike Shavala, right? Of Swahili Nation. So March the 1st would have represented the 127-year anniversary of the day that Ethiopian forces, again, like I say, defeated Italy, right? I think we all know that Ethiopia is the only African country that was not colonized, right? Some people say Liberia, but Liberia was indeed colonized. It was a different type of colonization. It didn't happen through what they call the scramble of Africa, which I just despise that term, right? They always coming up with these terms and these little cute labels to basically say invasion, conquest, destruction, and murder, right? Instead, they scramble for Africa, right? How about the major heist, the theft, right? The brutal oppression of African people. Just put it like it is, okay? But anyway, Liberia was colonized. It was colonized by the American Colonization Society with the support of a number of slave owning American presidents. How is that for you? Including President James Monroe, who the Liberian capital is actually named for. The American Colonization Society was the company that actually laid the foundation for the invasion of Liberia, and they actually waged war. You know, they went there with guns drawn. They claimed that, you know, it was a, a mutual agreeable meeting between them and the king, right? No. They came there with their guns loaded and said, hey, this is what's going to happen, okay? But, of course, the indigenous Liberian ethnic groups, they waged war. They fought, and they fought hard. And they did a good job until, you know, eventually they were overtaken. But anyway, back to what I was saying. There were two major wars between Ethiopia and Italy, right? The first was the Battle of Adwa, which was won by Ethiopia in 1896 under the leadership of Emperor Menelik II and his wife, Empress Tatu. Now, they weren't the only one fighting. Of course, there were Ethiopian soldiers, but they were the ones who were in charge, right? And of course, I talked about Empress Tatu on the last video that I did about African Women's History Month, and she tore up this treaty of Buchale, I believe it is, and that was one of the events that really, you know, ticked off the Italians and actually led to the Battle of Ottawa, of which they lost. Okay, and the second war is called the Italo and Abyssinia War. Both of them are actually called the Italo and Abyssinia War, but the second war is actually referred to as the Italian invasion, and it's referred to as the Italian invasion because there was no official declaration of war, right? Italy actually attacked Ethiopia from its surrounding colonies, from Eritrea and Somalia, right? They came both ways, you know, in at Ethiopia, okay? And they were both under these treaties that they had signed at the Geneva Convention, but Mussolini and his fascist thugs, right? Because they still was holding on to that vendetta because they got whooped at the first Battle of Ottawa. You know, that's what I said the other day. They never let anything go. They never let anything go. They never allow African countries to redeem themselves. But for some odd reason, African countries always seem to let them redeem themselves, right? It's just it's strange, right? But it happens. Anyway, like I said, he did the roundabout, and he didn't go through the proper channels that you have to go through to declare war. You know, like I say, I'm not a big expert on war. You know, I'm not a war scholar or anything like that. I hate war. You know, I'm not an advocate for war. I'm an advocate for revolution if that's what needs to be done. But as far as, you know, war is concerned, just fighting wars for rich folks to stay rich and the poor to get even poor, and getting poor innocent people killed, no, that's not my thing. But obvious it's the way of the world, because it's been happening since seemed like the beginning of the world, right? So I guess that's just all part of it. But anyway, Emperor Selassie and the Orbanox soldiers, who were actually East African anti-fascist resistance soldiers, they fought a brave fight. According to history, right? They fought a brave fight against Italy in this second war. and the Ethiopian soldiers, they held Italy at bay for a while, even after, like I say, the surprise attack. I don't know if I mentioned that Emperor Haile Selassie was in a leadership position, right, or on the throne at the time of the Second Ethiopian-Italian War, right? And uh, Italy um, actually made another cowardly move, right? They used chemical weapons against the Ethiopian people, and not only against the Ethiopian soldiers, but against the Ethiopian civilians, right? Just straight up unnecessary and cowardly, okay? They used the chemical mustard gas, and if you know anything about the impact of effects of mustard gas, then it's it's really horrendous. It's the devil, basically, right? If you want to use that word, quote unquote, but that's what it is, right? It's just, it can burn right through your skin, right? Um, but again, this war, the second war, it took place like close to where the Battle of Adwa took place. Actually, it was the same place where the Battle of Adwa took place, and I'm quite sure Italians attacked there because, again, they wanted to settle this vendetta, because that's where Menelik and Tatu and the other Ethiopian soldiers handed them, handed them their tush on the platter, okay? And that's why it was called the Battle of Ottawa, because it was at the capital, I guess, of Ottawa, or the city of Ottawa, the region, whatever they called it at that time, okay? But after Italy secured Ottawa, Emperor Haile Selassie had to leave Ethiopia for a period of 5 years, I guess, for the safety of himself and his family. But the resistance by the Orbanak soldiers persisted, right? They continued to wage war to prevent Italy from taking colonial control over Ethiopia. And they were successful eventually, because Selassie, he returned home to the country in 1941. Now, other East African soldiers and other East African countries actually fought in the second Ethiopian and Italian War, right? And so they assisted Ethiopian soldiers in gaining victory there, and also the British, right? I don't really like to mention them, because they did it for alternative, ulterior motives, right? For reasons, personal reasons, right? Because of issues between Italy, who was fascist, and between, Britain, right? So it wasn't really about helping Ethiopia. It was about helping British, the Brits, which it always is, right? And fighting fascism, okay? Sometimes the media, they like to try to downplay the significance of Emperor Selassie in Ethiopian history. And I've also heard Black people try to do the same for whatever reason. I guess they have their own personal reasons, their own perspectives about Emperor Haile Selassie. I know he was sort of a controversial figure throughout history, but I know that most, I understand that a lot of people of the African diaspora, a lot of members of the African diaspora, as well as on the African continent, they have big respect and love for Emperor Selassie, right? But again, like I said, I've heard it said, well, he lost the war, so he wasn't that much, he wasn't that important. Menelik was the real man, and all of that kind of stuff. And so I say, okay, that's true. Both of those statements are true. Selassie did lose the war, and Menelik, he was the man. However, it seems to me that if Italy would not have resorted to the use of chemical weaponry, then Italy, they would have actually gotten a good spanking again, right? They really would have got spanked this time. Actually, like I say, they were actually on the verge of getting spanked again, and that's why I believe the chemical weapons were used, because if they would not have used those chemical weapons, then they wouldn't have won that second time around, right? And Mussolini and his ego, and I don't think he could have faced that humiliation, right? This African country whooping that head 2 times. I don't think that would have been too good for him, right? And I don't think that would have been good for the other Europeans too, no matter what they say, right? They might have said they were on the side of Selassie, but believe me, it's always an ulterior motive. They always got something up their sleeves, right? And if I recall right, I think they, I'm not sure, but I think they kind of doubled back. I have to look at that again, but it seemed like they kind of doubled back, and was kind of part of helping bring Selassie down. I'm gonna take another look at that, but it seemed like that was the case, but I'm not sure. I might have that mixed up. But anyway, excuse me, I really don't know. I don't know what was happening. But anyway, I have mad love for both Menelik and Selassie. They both were the man, right? They both did their job. They both put it down, okay? But unfortunately, like I say, Selassie, I don't say he lost. He just, he had a bad round, like a fight. Like in a boxing match, he just had a bad round, right? He got knocked down, but he got back up and he came back with it, right? And then, like I say, he returned to the country in 1941. So, it goes like that sometime, but we're not going to concede a loss, right? We're going to say it was just a knockdown, right? Okay. But again, I got big love for Ethiopian history, and for Ethiopia in general, right? Because I just admire the way they stand their ground, how they remain vigilant in their fight to protect their sovereignty and the independence of their nation, right? I really respect the pride that they have in their culture, and I like their culture, right? It's vibrant, and it's unique, right? And it's real cool. Basically, it's real cool. I don't know if you all remember last year, they had the no hashtag campaign movement going on there, and I was like, yeah, see, that's what's up, right? That's how you gotta hit back, right? I hate to see Africans fighting each other in any circumstance, and I really don't understand in depth what that conflict between the TPLF and the Ethiopian government was all about. I know a little about the history that I read about the conflicts, right? But I don't know a lot, right? A lot. But despite that, I was really happy to see Ethiopians and Eritreans coming together to push back against the interference and the propaganda of Western powers and Western media, right? And the way that they did it on this side of the water, it was organized. It was punitive. It was to the point, right? They put their foot down, and the whole world heard them, right? And the whole world joined them in that effort to say, look, stay out of our business. You making this issue about something that is not, and we about sick of y'all, right? And we not gonna have that no more. And they actually put an end to all of the Western foolishness. So again, big shout out to Ethiopia, okay? Shout out to Ethiopia for Adwa Victory Day. I hope you all have been enjoying your celebrations. And again, big shout out to Michael Shavala for keeping us informed on what's going on in Ethiopia. So that's it for me today. Really, I am signing off. I have some good content coming up, so I hope you will tune in and check that out. Okay, I am Maria Juve. I am the real Africanist, right? And you can find me right here, loving on Africa and the African diaspora, and talking about topics that I hope will bring us together around our common history and our real-time experiences to showcase and promote our similarities instead of our differences, right? And you can also find me at my blog, blogging at therealafricanist.com, okay? Also, I want to say again, happy Women's History Month to all the powerful, the beautiful, the bold, the brilliant, the bountiful Black women out there, right? Big ups to you, and thank you for all that you do to uplift and encourage the community, okay? And also, y'all, since we are celebrating Ethiopian and Eritrean culture, I am going to upload a couple of short videos that I recorded while I was attending an African Student Association fashion show here in the States, right? So I hope you like them. So I'm signing off, okay? Peace. Remember to fight the power, and remember there's always more than one side to the story. And remember, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Okay? One people, one Africa, one love. Peace.